Okay, so this is just a quick video on unit conversions, and I'm going to cover length, weight, capacity, area, and volume. And I'm just going to do some examples for the length conversions because everything else from there works the same. So the first thing you need to work out is how many of each thing are in the next. So how many millimetres are in a centimetre? And we know that there are 10. So we're going to write 10 above and below. And then there are 100 centimetres in a metre. So it's 100 above and below. And then it's 1,000 metres in a kilometre. So 1,000 above and below. The next part is we're just going to work out whether or not we are multiplying or dividing. Now, the good thing is the top will all be the same and the bottom will all be the same. So if we're going from millimetres to centimetres, so let's think about if we're going from 10 millimetres to centimetres. So 10 millimetres is 1 centimetre. So we made the number smaller, which means we divided. So the top line is all going to be division. And then if we needed to go, say we've got 5 kilometres and we need to get back to metres, well, there's 1,000 metres in a kilometre. So if there's 5 kilometres, it means there's 5,000 metres. So we have multiplied by 1,000 there. So the bottom row will all be multiplication. So then if we do a couple of these, the first example is the one I've just talked about. So 5 kilometres would be 5,000 metres because we have just multiplied 5 by 1,000. 700 centimetres to metres. So what we do is we go back to our conversion chart and we find centimetres and metres. And it says we're going from centimetres to metres. So we're following this arrow here. So it tells us to divide by 100. So we are dividing by 100. 700 divided by 100 is 7 metres. Then we look at the next one, 85 centimetres to millimetres. So we're going centimetres to millimetres, which means we're following this arrow here, and it tells us to times by 10. So 85 times 10, well, we just put a 0 on the end and we would get 850 millimetres. If we go back the other way, we're dividing by 10. And remember, when we divide by 10, if there's no 0 on the end, because normally we would just drop the 0, we just move the decimal point back one place and it would end up as 12.7 centimetres. And then same with the last one, if we're going metres to kilometres, you can see here metres to kilometres, we're going to follow this arrow, so we're dividing by 1,000, which means we go back 3 places because in the first one we only went back 1 place because it was divided by 10. In this next one we're going back 3 places because it's divided by 1,000, which means we end up with 4.25 kilometres. Just put a green arrow under there so you can see. So then if we have a look at our next one, weight. Now the good thing about these ones is that it's the same. So before with length it was like 10, then 100 and then 1,000. However, with weight, there's 1,000 milligrams in a gram and then there's 1,000 grams in a kilogram. So all of these are 1,000. And again, if we're going on the top line, we're going milligrams to grams. If we've got 5,000 milligrams, we have 5 grams. So we are doing division on the top and multiplication on the bottom. Okay, same with capacity. There's 1,000 millilitres in a litre and then 1,000 litres in a kilolitre. So we can put all the thousands in and you can see the arrow here goes from millimetres to litres. So again, if we've got 5,000 millilitres, we have 5 litres. So we had to do division here. So then going back the other way would be multiplication. Area is a little bit different because you've got to consider 2 dimensions now because you have to change both sides. Say we're finding the area of a square. And you need to change both dimensions, which means because there's a squared involved, the numbers here are the same. So these are 10, this one's 100, and this one's 1,000. And because I've got the arrows all going the same way as before, the top row was division and the bottom row was multiplication. However, because we need to change both dimensions, we have to put a squared symbol above each of these. And what that means is, instead of just dividing by 10 once, you actually divide by 10 and then divide by 10 again. So you can either do divide by 10 to go from millimetre squared to centimetre squared, or you can do divided by 10 squared. So then, if we're looking at volume conversions, we're now not just looking at 2 dimensions, because volume is 3-dimensional. We've got the length, the width and height, which means, again, these numbers are all the same because that hasn't changed, because we're still looking at the same base unit. However, this time there will be a little 3. They will be cubed because we need to change the 3 dimensions. And again, the arrows haven't changed direction, so we are doing division at the top and multiplication at the bottom. Hopefully this helps you with your unit conversions. It's important to sort of memorise these charts as well, and if you can remember these charts, then any of these unit conversions questions become quite simple, especially if you can remember the length one, and then the area and the volume ones should be very straightforward because volume is in units cubed, so you know that it's cubed when you're doing the conversions. Same with the area. Here, all of the units are squared, so when you're doing your conversions, you know you should be doing it twice, okay? So, or using that squared function.